Thanks, Laura.
There we go.
Okay. I'd like to call the DEI Committee for October 23rd to order. Will you do roll, please?
Benayak, Johnson,
Here.
Egal, Yang,
Here.
Hayes,
Present.
Fischler.
And I'm acting as chair today due to Lakeisha being ill. What?
You see it, nice.
That's fine.
Like, why do you wanna say
Clarify
something?
what type of illness.
She can't talk. All of She's lost her voice. Mee, would you please give the land acknowledgement?
Yes. We are gathered here on the lands that were originally home to the Menominee and Ho-Chunk nations. We honor the Menominee and Ho-Chunk communities and are grateful for their stewardship of the land and waters. We acknowledge these ancestral grounds as sacred and remember the complex history of settler colonialism on these lands and the effects that persist today. We commit to a restorative and healing relationship of the original inhabitants in our community.
The mission of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee is to create a more welcoming, connected, and equitable Oshkosh by consciously including the richness and complexities of marginalized voices in its planning and function. And may I have a motion to approve the minutes from the September 25th meeting?
Chair, I motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Do I move
Hearing
again?
none.
Call for a vote.
Or, Johnson,
Yes.
Yang,
Yes.
Hayes,
Aye.
Do we have any citizen statements?
We do not have any citizen statements, nor do we have any public comments.
Okay, then we can move right on to Ryan Rasmussen, the Executive Director of the Oshkosh Area Community Pantry, who will be presenting to us tonight.
Thank you. Well, it is an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm so grateful to be able to come and share some things about the community pantry and kind of chat about where we are as a community and some of the things that we're seeing on our end. So I appreciate being here. As said, my name is Ryan. I'm the Executive Director of the Oshkosh Area Community Pantry. I've been in this role for about a little over a year and a half, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. I've spent a career in the food, beverage, hospitality, large-scale event field, and always wanted to get into nonprofits, just didn't quite have the avenue to do it. And when this position opened up, I jumped on it, and I'm so grateful that I did. When I say I love it, I truly mean I absolutely love it. So today, I'd like to just kind of share a little bit about the community pantry, kind of talk about some of the updates that we've had over the last couple of years, and then kind of talk a little bit about what we're seeing in the community and share some demographics with you. I will do my absolute very best to keep it to 20 minutes for you. But I could talk for days about this. So just to kick it all off, I've got a little PowerPoint here. Honestly, our mission is simple. We are here to strive to eliminate food insecurity in this county. Specifically in this county, we talk about southern Winnebago County, and we'll talk about what that service area looks like in a second. But one of the things I want to point out is under our value statement where it says we respect the dignity of guests and partners, we truly take that to heart. We find that our services are extremely unique, especially for this area. There are not many pantries that do the style of service that we do. And truly it's because we value the dignity of our guests. And we truly believe that there's power in choice. And through that power of choice, folks are able to retain a sense of dignity, even though they're using a pantry. Part of the reason why we have our grocery store operations is specifically for that reason. And so any decision that we ever make with our organization is going to have that top of mind. So we're really proud of it. We absolutely love the model that we do. If you aren't familiar with what our model is, in a traditional pantry setting, when food donations come in, they all get preloaded into boxes of food. When guests arrive, they are handed those boxes of food or their allotment of food. For us, we take that and we upscale it significantly. And so by offering a grocery store style experience, our guests are able to shop the aisles just like they would at any other grocery store, being able to select the foods that are best for them and their family. So it's a really powerful thing for us, and we love showing it off. If you have not been to the community pantry, I would very much invite you to come. I am there, it feels like always, so hook me up and we will get you on a tour to see it. I can talk about this for days, but once you actually see it happening, that's really where the power and the magic happens. So definitely come out and take a look and grab a tour. So a little bit about our history. We started here as a collaboration of local churches starting in 1989 at the Trinity Episcopal site. And over the course of years from 89 to 2008, there was a lot that happened. The pantry got busier. The space was starting to decrease in size. And at that time, the community really felt like we should embrace and actually put an actual nonprofit around this. And so starting in 2008, our organization was formed and then housed with our partners over at the St. Vincent de Paul building on Jackson Street, where we currently still reside. When you come in the main entrance to St. Vincent de Paul, you can go right for shopping with St. Vincent, and you can come left to shop with us. So it's a really, really nice location for us and a great partnership with St. Vinny's. So what is food insecurity? And on the boring Webster Dictionary title of food insecurity is truly that, those that are food insecure lack a consistent access to food for an active, healthy life. What I usually like to say about this is food insecurity can happen to anybody at any time for any reason. One of the greatest examples I like to give is truly a 2-income household that goes down to a 1-income household all of a sudden could put yourself in a food insecure situation. And so those are exactly the types of people that we want to make sure that we're here to help support. One of the most interesting stats that I think this county has is right now about 31.1% of our households in southern Winnebago County, and again, I'll talk about what that service area looks like, but southern Winnebago County are at or slightly above the federal poverty level. And at that point, it's listed at 200% of the poverty level. I won't talk about federal poverty level. I won't give my opinions about that federal poverty level. However, the fact that 31.1%, over a quarter of our residents in this county, almost a third of our residents in this county are facing food insecurity right now. And that's a pretty telling sign and a pretty scary stat. And for me, at least, it was eye-opening to take a look at that and know that, there's a lot of folks out there that need help. So as we talked about service area, these are the specific areas with which we will help folks. In general, it's up to Neenah Menasha, down to Fond du Lac, and all of the rurals in between. So you can see the list of the townships and the city of Oshkosh listed in there. Part of the reason for that service area, we've got 2 incredible partners up in Neenah Menasha, one being St. Joe's Food Pantry and the other being the St. Vincent de Paul Neenah, which will actually be opening a new site as well, who really cover the Neenah Menasha and Appleton areas. And then down to the south, we've got the Fondy Food Pantry and the Salvation Army down in Fond du Lac who are helping those folks. And so hence the reason why when we say southern Winnebago County, even though Winnebago goes all the way up to Neenah Menasha, that's really where our cutoff is because we've got a couple of fabulous partners up there that are helping us. So what does it take to be a shopper at our pantry? There are really not a lot of requirements that we have. First and foremost, you just have to prove who you are. So make sure that you bring along a photo ID. That could be a driver's license, state ID card, passport, anything like that. And the second piece is proof of address. And that could be a utility bill. It could be a piece of mail. If you're paying your bill on your phone, on an app, we can take a look at that. Virtually anything with your name and your address on it, just so we can verify that our service area is covered in that area. A lot of times I'll ask, well, what if I don't have one, the other, or both? Don't worry. We will still absolutely make sure folks get in, get their shop. We are really, really good about reminders at the pantry. And so for folks that come in, if they don't have both of those things right away, we will still get them in. We will still make sure that they get their emergent need taken care of, and we'll still get them a shop, and we'll take care of the paperwork side of it after the fact. When I say we're really good about reminders, we'll usually go a couple of months, 2-3 months with those reminders. But for the most part, when guests are coming through by the second or third month, we've got everything that we need. The other question I get a lot too is for the folks that are truly facing homelessness and or in a shelter situation, what would that mean? And so for those folks, obviously if they're in a shelter, we certainly can use the shelter address. That's no problem. And if there's truly a person or an individual that is on the street and or in a car, we'll take that as a case-by-case scenario and make sure, again, that we're giving those supplies to folks that need them. So. The other piece that we have there is if there are any kids in the home, just make sure that you bring one of those things, Social Security card, proof of insurance, or a birth certificate, just to prove that that child is yours in the home as well. Virtually, that's it. We don't have any income thresholds, so we won't ask your income, and we will not deny you for any of those reasons. We certainly have demographic information that we will ask. However, you do not have to respond to it at all. It's completely optional. So as long as you have a proof of who you are and a proof of where you live, you're able to utilize our services. So it's a pretty open, barrier-free operation, we like to think, anyway. So it's pretty neat in that way. Can't do this without talking about a little bit about the team. On the left-hand side, we've got Elizabeth, who's our program manager. She's responsible for all the programmatic pieces that we do, as well as our school pantry program, our kid pantry program, food for health initiatives, food for life initiatives, and all of our marketing social media type stuff. In the middle there is Larson. I always say everybody in their team should have a Larson, but you can't have my Larson. He's a phenomenal individual who truly is responsible for making sure that all the food comes into the pantry, and he's our inventory manager, doing a really great job there. And then on the right is Maggie, our operations manager, another phenomenal individual who, once the food gets into the organization, is responsible for making sure that it gets on the shelf. Now, we're going to talk about, not that these folks are the only individuals that are there. We've got some pretty powerful volunteer slides coming up as well, too, and I want to make sure that we do them justice, too. So what's the experience? What's it like? How does somebody, when they get to the pantry, what does it feel like? And first and foremost is really that registration process. And so once all of the pieces of information are brought into the registration desk or the check-in desk, everybody's issued their own card, so that way they don't have to keep bringing that information back. We will do a verification once a year just to make sure that we get any updates on file. But that card is something that all of our guests keep on them, which really makes the check-in process super simple. It takes about 25 seconds to get somebody in. Most folks are actually waiting in line to get into the pantry longer than it takes to actually get in and actually shop. So the registration process becomes pretty quick. One of the most significant changes that were made over the last couple of years, and we'll talk about a couple of them, are these colors that we have listed on the screen. We used to be a points-based system, meaning depending on how many family members you had in your household, we would assign you a certain number of points that you could use to shop in the store. What we were finding is that point system, although great when it comes to being able to control inventory, it was creating some additional barriers that we didn't feel like were as necessary. As an example, I don't know if any of you are like me, but when I go to the grocery store, I don't want to have to really think that hard about what I'm budgeting, how much I'm budgeting on, and then God forbid if I end up getting to our checkout area and I'm over my allotment of points, then the uncomfortable conversation of having to put something back happens. And that's neither fun for the volunteer that has to deliver that message, but then also for the guest that has to receive that message. And so one of the most significant changes that we made over the last couple of years is to get rid of the system. So we completely revamped what our system is. And now we're happy to say that we are a open choice or a choice-based shopping experience. Basically meaning every single item that's listed in the pantry is labeled with how much of each of that item a guest can have. So one of the things I like to talk about is, in our corner of canned vegetables, we are now listing, you can have 2 cans of peas, you can have 2 cans of carrots, you can have 2 cans of corn, and everything throughout the store is labeled in that way, truly eliminating that sense of having to have a bad conversation in the end, because we no longer have to worry about the points. It's all right there, and folks are able to select based on whatever the sign says that they can have. We find that this is a really, really great system. And again, both of these systems, both this and the points-based system, are truly for inventory control. And we're able to have the same type of inventory control like this, but also create a more barrier-free shopping experience.
Could you explain what inventory control?
Yeah, so as donations or as we are working with any of our partners, Feeding America East Wisconsin, TFAP, which is a government-based program, anytime any of that inventory comes into us, we're doing our due diligence to make sure that when we're putting it on the store, we're limiting it so that way it will stretch, but also not limit in the sense of making sure that there's only one or something that everybody can have, right? It's just a sense of being able to ensure that we've got enough variety and enough of everything for everybody, so it can help throttle or pull back however much inventory can be out the door at one time, basically.
Okay.
So you don't want someone to hoard all of the peanut butter and then nobody else gets any.
Something like that. Yeah, exactly. So really it's about that. What I can say is there's no perfect science to inventory control. It's really a gut feel, right? If we know that in the back storage area we've got, 5 pallets of pasta, we're going to unlimit pasta. You can have as much of it as you want, because we're not going to be worried about running out of it anytime soon. If we only have a quarter of a pallet of Dinty Moore, well, then we might have to put a limit 1 on it just to try to see if we can stretch it as long as we can. So let's also talk about another significant change that we made in the store, and so which is really the layout of the store in general. So before, I'll show you a picture of what it used to look like, and you can tell that this is an old picture mostly because the store's full. If you come into our pantry now, that's not necessarily the case. But this is a picture of what our store used to look like. And after some modification, this is what we have now. And so what we found in the previous picture is that all of our shelving units were running running horizontally. So as you were standing at the start of the store experience, which is exactly where this picture is being taken, the first thing you were met with was a wall, and you couldn't see anything else. Just by turning our aisle locations in a vertical sense, it has now completely opened up the entire store, and you can now see everything at your disposal as soon as you walk in. It also creates a natural flow, starting from the left and then weaving through the aisles all the way to the right to where our checkout area is. And so it's kind of created this natural progression for folks to shop. The other most significant piece is the produce tables, which you see in the middle there, used to be in the back of the store just based on space. It has now allowed those produce tables to come front and center. Although we will never tell our guests what they should or shouldn't eat, we always want to highlight the good things first. And so making sure that we've got our fresh produce up front and available as the first thing they see is something that's important to us. The other reason for that is truly, when you go to the grocery store, what's the first department you hit? Produce, right? Why should our shopping experience be any different than that? And so it's really created this nice environment now that is much more open and much more user-friendly. Lastly is our checkout phase. Everything that we do is done by weight, meaning any donation that comes into our organization is weighed in. Any donations that go out the front door are weighed out by family. And so in this picture, as an example, we're hoping that carts are heaping full. We literally are just rolling these carts up onto our scale, weighing them out, and then off the scale they go to box or bag up their groceries after that. We hope and we find that it's a pretty easy experience, and especially with having our volunteers there just to kind of do a quick check and help folks, it's a really great piece. So I wanted to hit you just with some quick fast facts, because now we're transitioning into what we're experiencing right now in this community. I'll tackle number 1 and number 2, and then I'll explain maybe the whys. So number 1 there, so in 2022, so last year, OECP distributed about 1.5 million pounds of food out the door directly to residents right here in Southern Winnebago County. That equates to about 1,500 families that we were serving on a monthly basis, which is a pretty significant amount. In 2023, however, this year, we are currently on pace to do about 2 to 2.5 million pounds out the door. So that is a 1 million pound growth. And we are averaging about 2,200 families a month right now. That is a significant increase just in 1 year alone. And number 2 is kind of the telling sign of where that's coming. In 2022, we experienced a 30% increase in overall pantry usage. That's over 2021, with a 126% increase in brand new registrants. And when I say new registrants, those are truly brand new families that have never utilized our services before. Already in 2023, we are seeing those numbers skyrocket even more, and we are already currently 47% up over 2022, and another 100% up in new registrants this year alone. A lot has happened to our business in the last year to a year and a half. There is no question about that. Everybody always asks me the why, so I'll give you the quick Ryan's opinion on the why. It comes down to two things. One, the cost of everything is way more expensive now. Everybody likes to blame inflation. I did for a time too. Things are getting better a little bit, but the things that are still highly priced are housing, food, gas. The three most essential things for a lot of the folks that live in this city and live in this county. So when you see that, I know when I go to the grocery store and I buy one bag of groceries, it costs me about $100 to buy that bag of groceries. That's a significant impact to a lot of folks. The second piece is really the rollback of food share benefits. During COVID times, one of the great things that happened during COVID was the federal government decided to increase the allotment to all of those that were on food share. So as an example, a senior who was on a fixed income was getting roughly about $250 a month in food share benefits that they could use to go to the grocery store to buy groceries. When the federal government decided to roll that back in March, April of this year, what they did is rolled it back to pre-COVID levels, which we all expected was going to happen. This is definitely not a surprise. We knew at some point it was going to have to happen. We can argue all day long about when it happened, but it did. And so in that same scenario, the same senior on a fixed income who was getting $250 in food share benefits is now getting $20 a month in food share benefits. And so when you think about trying to feed yourself or your family on $20 in food share benefits, there's absolutely no way that you're going to be able to do that. And so those are two of the significant reasons, in my opinion, why we're seeing such a dramatic increase. The other thing I think that's important to know is, for the folks that were in the lower income brackets, generally we're always going to be utilizing services, and they still are currently. I think what's happening is based on all of the other things, we're seeing a lot of folks that were part of the middle class that this is now truly affecting. So really the folks that may have been on the bubble or a little better than the bubble before are now the ones that are really experiencing this firsthand. And those are a lot of the folks that are now coming to us to utilize our services, which again is a big increase for us. Number three, we also like to talk about what the impact is that we have on families. So on average, we provide a family with about almost $7,000 worth of financial relief each year. It is a decent number, and the fact that we're saving, $7,000 for a family is at least significant enough for us. One of the other programs we like to talk about, which is number 4, is 52,000 pounds are going directly into the community through our Food for Kids programming, which we'll talk about in a second. Which is another really important piece to this whole puzzle for us as well. And then lastly is our volunteers. We are 99% run on volunteer support. As you hopefully can understand, the 4 staff members that we have could not do all the things on a weekly basis without our volunteers. And so they are extremely important to what we do. And in 2022, almost 16,000 hours worth of volunteer support came our way, which is just incredible. I can't say enough about the dedicated group that we have. So we've got some folks that'll do 40 hours a week. We've got some that'll do 1 hour a month. Either way, we treat them all the same, and we're just grateful that they choose to spend their time with us. So I've got some graphs here. Might be a little hard to see on the TV, but this is really just kind of showing some of that steady incline that we just talked about. So the increases that we're seeing, this chart basically is charting everything from the left-hand side, which is from January of 2022, all the way until September of this year, and just showing the amount of increases in the number of families that we have been serving month over month. And you can just see that gradual percent up is just continuing to happen. The other piece that you can really tell is in April of 2023, when food share benefits did start to roll back, is really when you can see the most pivotal point and the highest spike to go up. And then since that time, we really haven't leveled off. I can't really tell you why August we were higher. You can see another significant spike up there. However, definitely something that we're seeing here is just this gradual increase. Same with our new registrants, as I mentioned, because we are significantly seeing new registrants come in. This is literally the number of new families that are registering every single month with us. And so, again, even in August of 23, to have 211 brand new families that have never utilized services from us before coming in 1 month alone is pretty significant. And again, you can continue to keep seeing that trend. And I'm not, again, seeing much of that coming down anytime soon. So. I just wanted to throw some other demographics in here. I got some line of sight that this might be something of interest to this group. So just some age demographic information there. So the two pie charts are just a comparison of 22 to 23. Not a ton of variance really between the two. But really what this is showing is that in the blue section, those are the sum of children from 0 to 17 that are utilizing our services, so 33% right now. Adults from 18 to 59 covers about 50%. Again, not terribly surprising based on what we're seeing. And then seniors 60 plus is at about 17%. So interesting stuff, at least on age-wise. Even in 2022, having 21% of those being seniors. I mean, traditionally in pantry census, there are more seniors that come through. But again, as we talk about that middle class really being affected now, we're seeing some of that age come down. Some of the gender demographics, some of males are on the right-hand side. So right now in 23, 47% of our folks are males, 51% are females, 1% non-binary, and then 1% prefer not to say. And with all of this information, I just want to make sure that it's clear, because again, our individuals and our guests do not have to answer any of these questions. These are truly just the folks that are saying, okay, I want to participate in this. So we know that there's definitely a gap in some of the folks that aren't answering. And then just some ethnicity demographics here. Bottom portion just shows the number of total people in the thousands, and then obviously on the left-hand side is the ethnicity. So predominantly white. However, we have seen a dramatic increase in our Hispanic population, African American population. As we talk about even the influx of the refugee population that's coming into the community, that's where we're seeing a lot of the Middle Eastern and North African community coming in, and some of the African native folks. And so again, just kind of a line of sight into some of the folks that are utilizing our services. Lastly, and really quickly, just some other programs that we have on the far left-hand side there is our hydroponic machine. So we do grow our own produce right in the facility as well. Every couple of weeks, we're able to harvest directly out of those. Lettuce is the easiest thing for us to be able to grow, but we have done some basil and some thyme and some other things. We're still working on Snickers bars, but we haven't quite gotten there yet. So, in the middle there is our kid pantry section. So even though the bigs are hungry, so are the littles. Kid pantry for us is an opportunity for those littles to be able to come in and do their own independent shop and select their own foods. It also allows us a way to be able to do some educational components with them and talk about nutrition and talk about why food groups are important. And then lastly, on the right-hand side is part of our school pantry program. And so we work directly with the Oshkosh Area School District, working with all 24 of the Oshkosh schools and alternative learning environments. We are sending fresh fruits, so apples, oranges, bananas, as well as granola bars and fruit bars directly into the school system. The social workers and the guidance counselors are identifying the kiddos that are in need and making sure that those kiddos are able to grab those snacks. So every week we are sending that into the district. This is a program, I must say, that does not come through food donations. This is a program that we are completely funding with some of our partners and some of the grantors that we have. This is an $85,000 a year program that we put on. But we find the value in it is extremely important, not only to be able to get the kiddos and make sure that their in-between meals have some substance, but at least allows for food to be able to go home on nights and weekends. And ultimately, hopefully, with the information that goes along with it, the parents will be able to come in and utilize services if they so choose. So how can you help? A couple of things. If you're on social media, please look at our Facebook account or Instagram account. We use our social media platform a lot to talk about updates and a lot of variety of different things. So if you're on social media, please like and follow us. We'd greatly appreciate it. Take a look at our new website. We just got that updated, and we are really proud of it now. We think it's looking really good. All of the information that we've talked about and more is on there, so please visit oacptoday.org and take a look at that. Also, I like to talk about the three major pillars, being able to either donate food, donate money, or donate time through volunteering. Those are the biggest ways. So if you're thinking about donating food, maybe host a food drive, maybe grow a row. So for any of the home gardeners, consider growing a row for us and donate that fresh produce right to us. Hygiene items, although we don't specifically look for hygiene items just because we're more focused on food, obviously it's something that's important to our guests as well. So when we do have it, they're extremely popular. Or it could be as simple as donating your leftover egg cartons or your donated bags. So if you're like me and you've got that bag of bags that's sitting underneath your sink at home, we will definitely take all of those as well, because our guests will use those to bag up produce and bag up groceries.
Extra reusable bags, too.
Yes, absolutely.
I've done that after I collect dozens of them. I'm like,
Absolutely.
put them in.
Obviously, donating money allows us to have the purchasing power to be able to offset the things that we don't necessarily see in donations. It allows us to be able to go buy and make sure that we have a nice variety of things. And then lastly, if you're thinking about volunteering and considering us, we'd greatly appreciate it. With that, I'll just end with how important this really is, and I'll leave you with one story that I think is really impactful for me and why this is important, and it comes out of our school pantry program. Part of the reason that I think it really touches most of us is we were met with a situation that happened last year where one of the kiddos that were in the school system basically was working with one of the social workers, and they had just gotten our order of fresh oranges. And the student had come up and was really kind of confused about what they were, and the social worker had asked, why are you confused, or what's happening? And that kiddo had never seen a fresh orange before. They had only had canned oranges and had never seen a fresh orange. And so the kid held up that orange and said, "This is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen." And that right there is the power of what we do and why we do it, and making sure that even at that young of an age, we make sure that everybody has access to food. So with that, I'm sure I'm over my time. No? Perfect.
It was perfect.
Excellent.
I don't know.
Bam.
This was
Excellent.
our matter today anyway, so.
I want to hear
Perfect.
more.
I know.
You want to hear more? I could go all
learned
day.
so much
I could keep
tonight
going.
than I ever learned before.
Is there
Great.
anything that this committee could do to help support?
Yeah. I definitely think there's a few things. One of the things I think we identify really comes at our volunteer level, and with a influx of a variety of different folks coming into our pantry, we're really in honestly need of some multilingual folks that can come in, Spanish speakers, Arabic speakers. So if you have any connections that are Duolingo or multilingual, we very much could use any of those folks to be able to help offset. We think we do a pretty decent job using Google Translate, but you know how that works all the time. And we've also worked and partnered with the school district, so all of our registration packets that we have are in English, Spanish, Hmong, and Arabic. However, that always leads to questions, right? And so we want to make sure that we're able to communicate the best we can. So obviously that's a big one for us, making sure that we have the power of being able to communicate the best we can with folks. I would think that would be first and foremost, in my opinion. But other than that, I'm happy to have any or all of you come on by and actually see the power of what this is. I think it's pretty cool. I hope all of you do too. But
And volunteer while we're there.
and volunteer while you're there.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that would be lovely.
And I volunteered before
Yeah.
the pandemic on Monday nights, so I can't do it now since I have these meetings.
No, that's
Yeah.
how I did it on Mondays. Cheer and then this.
But one comment that I wanted to make is one of the things I think is really great about the grocery store model is people who need to have gluten-free
Yeah.
food. There was a section of gluten-free. They don't just get the generic wheat bread.
Yeah.
The folks who are Muslim could get the meat products that they would actually use as opposed to whatever ended up in a box for them, or Jewish. So
Yeah.
that to me was one of the most powerful pieces, was that it truly is individualized.
Yeah, yeah, and not only is it great for our guests for exactly that reason, but it's also a little self-serving as well. We like to talk about this as the circle of life in food in the pantry world, meaning, when you think of a traditional box model, when you get that box home, you're probably going to use maybe half of that box, and then the rest of it, you either don't know what to do with or you don't like it. And so what happens to that box? It either gets redonated or it gets thrown away. And so when I say circle of life, that's the poor set of garbanzo beans that keep coming back, right? I know, right? But you put that can in a box, it goes out, nobody will eat it, it comes back as it gets redonated. That's the circle of life, right? It just keeps coming back. And so when we talk about having this type of model, let's skip that and let's just focus on what folks want.
Right. What are your most needed types of donations?
Yeah, right
Besides
now,
money.
yeah.
I know money is always.
Oh yeah,
the
money's
best,
always
but-
great. Yeah. But when it comes to food, some of our really heavy hitters, and what's really nice is we have a listing of things on our website, so that way it's always available there. We also do food drive focuses, so when I talk about making sure that you come and visit us online, we will roll out food focuses every month. And so that creates kind of a fun way to kind of mix up your giving. And so we'll focus on, a few things in our pantry that are of need. So as an example, November's coming, holidays are around the way. So, we've got a holiday food drive that's going to take place all in November, meaning any of your favorite holiday food items, if it's stuffing, if it's mac and cheese, if it's whatever your favorite holiday items are, those are the things that we'll look for. In December, as an example, is going to be your favorite holiday baking items, so flours and sugars and wheats. But on a normal, consistent basis, I mean, some of those things that are really, really tough for us to get are really protein-rich foods. So when you talk about peanut butters, you talk about tunas in can, you talk about even like the Sunquist chickens that are in a bag. Any of those protein-rich foods are something that are really important. We'll always take the pantry staples, and the pantry staples are always mac and cheese, pasta, tomato sauce. We'll always take those things. But really those protein-rich foods are really important. We rarely see a lot of the boxed foods that come through, so like the hamburger helpers or tuna helpers, those types of things. We don't see a lot of those come in, so when they do, they're extremely popular. Overall, our pantry, one of the hardest things to be able to get is really meat. And meat for us is a tough one, only because one, it's the most expensive item in the store, so that's why it's tough. But then two, all of that product has to come to us frozen. We don't do any fresh meat, just for food safety purposes. And so we really have to make sure that the product is not only coming from a reputable source, but also frozen, in transport frozen, stays frozen with us, and then out the door. So those are just, I guess, some ideas for you. Yeah.
Any questions?
That was perfect.
That was incredible, and what
Yes.
you do is incredible, and
Thank you.
I'm glad you had the opportunity to share it with us, and hopefully the people who are watching this.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
if we make people aware of something that they didn't know about, who are in need, all the better.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. If you know of anybody that's facing food insecurity and needs some help, make sure that you send them our way. That's what we're here for. So.
And if I can share one more example from my time there, I like to bake, and so I often think of bringing the baking products. And my husband has been known to roll his eyes at me, like, "Who needs a 5-pound bag of flour? They need all the other things to go with it." But one of the times when I was there, a woman was so excited to find some flour and some other baking items, and she commented that she was going to be able to bake cookies with her grandkids.
Yeah.
Now that she was able to pick up some of the items, at least,
Yeah.
from the pantry.
Yeah, absolutely. One of our favorites, we had like a 20-pound bag of oats that came in, and the same conversation happened, which was, who's going to take 20 pounds of oat? Like, that's a lot, right? That's a lot of oatmeal. And literally a guest came in and said, "Oh my gosh, I eat this every single day." Took the whole bag.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. It was great. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's an audience for everything.
Absolutely.
Like I said, even I love garbanzo beans.
Exactly.
Even the
Exactly.
board.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for
No,
coming
thank
by,
you. I
and
appreciate it.
If in the future you find something that you think that this committee can help support, because we're a guidance to the city,
Yeah.
we don't do that much strictly on our own, please feel free to contact us.
Love that. Thank you. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, you bet. You bet.
And you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but you're also welcome to
Free
go
to go.
home.
Thank you.
Had a long
You're
day.
also
Awesome.
Or
free to leave.
back to the pantry.
Back to the pantry. We're still
Yes,
open.
they're
So.
open. Okay,
Thank you.
briefly, what are your
the
hours?
Yes, so open to guest shopping Mondays from 2 p.m. until 6 p.m. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 10 a.m. until 2:45.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you, thank you.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is the New Dragon Boat Festival debrief, which is me. So you have the final report that I wrote up with input from the other directors. We did a survey. There had been a vendor-specific survey at the event, and then we created a larger general survey that we sent to attendees via email and Facebook. We have a total of about 140 responses from that. But overall, the response was that it was well organized, things ran on schedule, and they had a smooth and enjoyable experience, and almost 100% of people said they would participate again. We estimate that about 2,000 people attended. We never did figure out a way to actually estimate spectators. We've talked a lot about it, but we weren't able to do that. But some people said they think that we had 1,500 spectators. That would be throughout the whole day. A little over 350 racers, about 200 performers. Some of those were very large groups, like the Hmong dancers had a lot of people in the dance troupe. About 200 volunteers and 50 vendors. Attendees rated it 95%, giving it 4 or 5 stars out of 5. And just for the one, I don't remember if I put it in here, it had to be 100%. We had one vendor who said they wouldn't participate again, and that does not surprise us. The global market piece that we had where vendors could come and sell things didn't go over like we thought it would. My husband personally commented to me, even though I'd been talking about it, he wasn't expecting that at all, even though I thought that I at least talked about it at home, and he's like, he wouldn't have thought of bringing money to buy things at it or be looking for that sort of thing. So that was kind of like the sort of feedback that we got from others. That was just an unexpected piece. Over 95% of the vendors and organizations that came are owned by or serve marginalized groups. So like, for instance, Covey was there. It's a nonprofit organization that serves adults with disabilities. It's not owned, probably white people actually run it, but they serve marginalized persons. About half of the food vendors had never vended before, and I think our food vendors were 100% marginalized groups. One person contacted Fanny and asked her for some help applying to sell at the Wisconsin State Fair, which is something that Fanny, who is head of the vending piece, is doing this year, but she'd never even thought that she might be able to do that. And now she's like, I've done it once. She had the confidence to go further. So we think that that is definitely part of what we were hoping that this experience could do. I hadn't thought specifically of the state fair, but opening up like a new revenue stream for folks. Attendees said that it was very successful at engaging the community and bringing people together from various backgrounds. My favorite feedback, my daughter is adopted, and we'd originally looked at international adoption, so I know that community pretty well. 2 different families gave us feedback about how they have adopted children from China and have struggled in this area with connecting with their heritage, and they loved that we had this. And one little girl even just said that she can't wait to grow up and be a lion dancer. So that was very heartwarming to me in particular, but to our entire group. Most of the out-of-town club teams, which would be about 190 people, stayed for 1 or 2 nights at hotels, and then also local restaurants and bars. We don't know exactly how many hotel room nights that would be, and our Pan Am boat staff also were the total of 14 hotel room nights. I just haven't estimated that the food vendors took in 10,000. We didn't have exact figures on that. And additionally, 3,000 volunteer hours with no paid staff whatsoever. We only thought about this economic impact when I was writing the final report, and for next year, we're going to ask probably the, I can't think of the name, the Oshkosh.
Visitors Bureau?
Yeah, they're called something else here. I can't think of it. I can see their name on receipt. But ask them how we could do an economic impact assessment on the event, what we would need to gather to do that. We did make a profit. I don't, again, have the exact numbers because receipts were still coming in and out when we met a couple of weeks ago, but we will be sharing some of those profits with the Oshkosh Area School District Education Foundation, and then NUCA will get the rest of that as expected. The festival directors have committed to a 2024 event. We're looking at the September dates. We need to contact the convention center about getting the rest of the area so that we're not interrupted by a wedding again, because that was the most difficult part of it, was scheduling around that. And we would like to ask for support from the DEI committee again, and then into the Oshkosh City Council for city sponsorship, as we got for this year. We're starting a lot earlier than we did for 2023, and we hope that that will enable us to get a lot more sponsorships, teams, and other engagement from the community. We actually had people contacting us right before and the weekend of saying, I know you're not, I know it's happening this weekend, but can you tell us the dates for next year, because we want to start getting a team together. And at least 2 businesses who specifically said, we want to sponsor you, we didn't have any sponsorship money left at this time, contact us for 2024. So
Nice.
that was, pretty good that people are saying, a year from now, we want to support you, even though we can't do it at this time.
And it's
And-
always easier the second time.
Yes, yes. And teams interested in signing up, including a unified team in coordination with the Special Olympics. Unified meaning it would be partially people with disabilities and partially people without. So very excited for those possibilities. We've saved the feedback. I have a much longer report on the surveys information. We've started talking about what have we, what went well, what didn't go well, what would we change for next year, and we're still working on that. And then at the end, I have a final thoughts, some heartwarming feedback from a community team member who said this was one of their best days ever and had so much fun doing every single piece of it. They thought was wonderful.
All right. Wonderful. And have you selected a date for next year or not yet?
No,
We're
somebody was,
checking some options.
somebody needed to contact, I don't remember, one of our committee members was contacting the convention center to see if the September date
Okay.
is available. We're hoping to have it kind of the same weekend because it's after the university returns.
Yeah.
And there are no other Dragon Boat festivals scheduled for that date, in Wisconsin at least.
Awesome. And as you discuss dates and stuff, let me know and I'll make sure Mark's aware as well.
Oh, we will. Well, because we have to get a yes from the city that we can have the leach on that day, but we're pretty sure.
Awesome.
How do we get this passed along to the city council? Maybe with an edit on my one typo first.
As far as informing them of this.
Right, I'd like them to
Just
see the report,
sharing the
since
report.
they supported us
share.
with the money. I want
We
to
share community update, like each liaison
Oh.
gets to share what.
I forgot that you were on the
Do an
council.
update during the meeting from their committees, so
Okay.
I don't know if Lakeisha will be able to talk tomorrow necessarily, but
That's why I'm trying to
So can
reserve
you
my voice. I haven't.
distribute the final report
Yes.
to them, and if I,
yeah, why don't
Fix the
you
one letter.
fix that and then
Okay.
we'll make sure we can get that into distribution.
okay. And we would love to have the Unity and Community Funds again and to get that support earlier as well. Oh, I forgot I'm still a chair. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm looking at Lakeisha.
Okay.
I'm like, any other questions on the festival for me? Okay. Our next item up is a discussion and vote on canceling or rescheduling November and December meetings. Because I think the November one is scheduled for the week of or the week after Thanksgiving, which is.
I believe it's the
week-
Monday
after.
before Thanksgiving?
No, the fourth
Or
Monday is the
that-
27th, which is after
Okay.
Thanksgiving.
All right, so yes, the Monday after Thanksgiving. I know we had some concerns from members regarding being able to attend for November, and the December one is currently scheduled on a city holiday.
Right.
So, yeah,
Like the holiday.
like
Yes.
yes, it is
On
the
the
holiday. I will not be here.
So for the November one, I would not be able to attend on either the 20th or the 27th. I would- Both of those days.
Yeah, I won't be able to for the November either, so.
So I think it's appropriate to cancel at least the November one,
And
but maybe
reschedule the December one.
have one that meets in between the two meetings, like maybe early December, if not cancel December as well.
Can we meet on the 11th or 18th? Do we have to make sure this room is available?
I
Or-
do have to check on availability. The 18th, the third week of Monday, generally there isn't a meeting. I can tell you that.
Okay.
So that would be a possibility. The second Monday, I'm not sure about because I remember that wasn't one of our original options. So the third Monday might be possible.
That would be
First
December
and
18th.
second Monday are not good because of sustainability and parks.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I knew there was a
I was
reason.
gonna say,
So we might be able to get the December 18th.
December 18th.
Is the third Monday.
Usually, again, from an availability standpoint, is feasible. So.
Oh, so we have to vote.
a
yes.
motion.
We
then.
vote-
We'd have to, yeah, that's why we're gonna discuss and then
Right,
potentially vote
right. I
as
forgot
to
that we
what
had
we're
to
gonna
vote,
do
so.
for November and December.
I think breaking them up would be appropriate.
Okay.
November, a motion,
Okay.
second,
Okay.
and vote for November, and then separate for December.
Can I have a motion to cancel our November DEI meeting?
So moved.
Any further discussion on November?
Me second. Okay.
Yes, sorry.
She's losing her voice.
Just come out.
Great,
We've
great.
had a lot of meetings as of late.
Can I do an all in favor? Does this need to be a roll call vote?
Just roll call it since we
Roll
have
call
them.
vote, please.
Johnson?
Yes.
Yang?
Yes.
Hayes?
Aye.
Okay, we will cancel our November DEI meeting. May I have a motion to move our December meeting to the third Monday, December 18th?
So moved.
Second.
I heard her that time.
Something's not coming out here.
I've more had some.
Any discussion on the December meeting?
Just maybe have more than one option, I think, so we have the 18th as an option. If we have the 18th, will we have a backup date if that is not available? And if neither of those are available, what will we just cancel? Just so we don't have to,
As Scott mentioned, the first and second weeks are not feasible, so the third, Monday, the 18th really is our only other option for December.
yeah.
Because of other meetings that are scheduled, in the first week and the second week. I, at this point, have no reason to believe the 18th won't work, based on our resources availability. So I would, I would think it would be within our power to make the 18th work, assuming I
Okay,
have people who are going to attend it.
I'll be there.
Available.
So,
So, motion to reschedule our
we
meeting.
already moved, we're in discussion.
Oh, gotcha.
So I'll call the vote.
Johnson,
Yes.
Yang,
Yes.
Hayes,
Aye.
All right, we
Okay.
will reschedule to December 18th and cancel the November.
Okay. Our next item is discussing future presenters for DEI meetings. And were we specifically going to discuss questions to ask them? I remember talking about that last time. I'm not sure if we came up with the questions we wanted to
We
send.
didn't really come up with anything in particular. I think one of the questions you asked today, of course, what can we do to help you? We can definitely include that as we provide information to the presenters. And I think that, other than, of course, the basics of tell us about what your organization does.
Right.
you
Specifically
know.
the demographics that they serve. I think so far everyone has done that, but we're always
Right.
interested in
Right,
the demographics.
If they have the demographics. Demographics, how can we help? How are they funded, apparently?
Oh.
Adrian has some notes.
Right, the funding. And I'd meant to actually ask him.
Right, demographics, how can this committee help, or the city, and then how are they funded?
Right.
Were kind of the three we talked about.
Okay. Well, let's be sure to ask, because we got to ask about funding again. I thought of it while he was talking, and then.
Yep, yeah.
And then
So we, when we arrange the next presenters, we'll make sure we include those three questions.
okay. So who on your list might be?
Well, we haven't approached anyone for November, December yet,
Right.
because we just weren't
Sure.
sure what was gonna happen. So a couple that our Director of Community Development mentioned to me was World Relief. They work, or they bring refugees into Northeast Wisconsin. Of course, housing is a big challenge for them. Winnebago County Housing Grant Specialist. She also recommended, works to find housing for homeless, low income, et cetera. Oshkosh Housing Authority was also another recommendation. And Habitat for Humanity were some of the suggestions that came from Kelly. I think all are viable. And we can start utilizing those to start lining up presenters for December, January, February-ish. And if you don't have any particular agenda around it, we'll just do it based on availability of those people and organizations, unless there's one that's you're burning to get in here sooner than later.
I think we're good,
Okay.
whenever they're available.
Right, so we will work with those and try to set them up for our next few meetings.
Okay, sounds good. Our committee member roundtable, any DEI-related activities and events coming up in the area? The Oshkosh Public Museum is having a
Dia del,
Muerta celebration on Saturday.
yes. They are. And that is free to attend, in case anybody was wondering. And that's a fun event that they've been doing for, I know they did it last year, I guess I don't
This
know
is the
how
second
long.
annual.
Yeah, okay, this is the
Second
second,
one, yeah.
I remember it last year.
Any others that you know of me to share?
Yep.
Yeah, but it's getting a little colder outside, probably not so
Yeah.
many outside events anymore.
Right. Any future, and then outstanding items, any future items on the council agenda we should be aware of? Or Michelle?
Not too exciting for future, of course, well, I shouldn't say that, very exciting. We have the 2024 budget workshops coming
Oh,
up
yes,
on
yep,
October
you've mentioned
30th
those.
and 31st. So those are the only future agenda items that I'm aware of.
Okay. Does anybody have future agenda items for our committee?
And of course, you're always welcome to send those in. if you send them to me, and of course I stay in touch with Lakeisha and Anne Marie as the chair and vice chair.
If we're all done, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
All
All in favor?
in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're
Okay,
adjourned.
thank you,
Thank you very much.